Believe me, I felt, because I feel the same way right now. I don't want to be here. I first started talking a number of years ago when my son was applying for college. And in college, the application asked for his father's occupation. So he put down doctor. But it also asked for the father's previous occupation. So my son didn't know. He said, "Dad, what were you before you were a doctor?" And I started to answer him, and I realized that I didn't have an answer. Because I was nothing. I was a farm worker. And a farm worker was considered nothing in those days. I was told all my life growing up that I was good for nothing but being a farm worker. And the story said I grew up picking cotton when I was 3. I picked oranges up where I live now, fell off ladders. I went to the Kerman area to pick grapes, to Delano to pick cotton. I was even driving the truck when I was 10 years old, because nobody else knew how to drive a stick shift. And it's funny because I was in the truck and a highway patrolman rode right by me, and he could see that I wasn't old enough to drive, but he didn't stop me. But my grandmother, she just said, "You're nothing but a farm worker, and that's what anybody in our family will ever be." My mother had 5 kids before she was 21, and she gave us away. And she gave us away to a family that she said were our grandparents. It turned out they weren't our grandparents. They were just family that she knew that were supposedly in the family. I didn't know I had a couple of those siblings until I was in my 20s, because she neglected to mention that she gave those away to somebody who moved to East LA. But they took us in because they needed more people in the fields. And I found this out recently because my older brother, Domingo was a very sickly kid. He was in and out of Valley Children's Hospital all the time for weeks at a time. And one morning when he was home, and we were getting ready to go to work, and we were sleeping on the living room floor, because with 15 kids, you sleep wherever you can, right? And he overheard my grandparents talking, and my grandfather told my grandmother, he said, "Why did you bring him home? He's useless to me." So that I knew that if I didn't work in the fields, and I didn't do the best job I could, I would be abandoned again. So I made it my job to be the best little farm worker boy I could. And I also was going to school at this time, and it's interesting because the only Latina teacher I had in my whole life was my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Barrios. But all through elementary, high school, college, medical school, residency, I never had another Latino teacher. So I look around and I see how there's Latino superintendents and teachers. It makes me so proud. But it was my second grade teacher, Mrs. Landers. She looked at me, this dirty little Mexican boy, and I was dirty because I stunk, because I wore the same clothes to work that I wore to school, and we didn't bathe because we didn't have running water. But she took a look at this little Mexican boy and she said, "You should go to college." And why she would say that? Because in my family, if you graduated from 8th grade, you were considered very intelligent. And I took her words and I realized, whatever that is, I want to do. And then I was going into my 3rd grade class. And my 3rd grade teacher looked at me and she put me in the back of the class where all good Mexican boys belong. And I went along with it because that's what happened. But then I was going to my 4th grade class. And if I was afraid of my 3rd grade teacher, my 4th grade teacher, I thought she was a witch. Because she had the wily hair and the beady little eyes and the hair coming out of the mole. And she would whack you in the head if you, in the playground, if you spoke Spanish. The Spanish was not allowed. In fact, I don't remember thinking in English until I was in 3rd grade. That's when we made the changeover. But I ended up in her class and I was terrified. And I was going to sit in the back of the class like I was in the previous class, but she made me sit in the front. I'm not sure why. But she made me realize something that I did not realize, that I had some intelligence. So she gave me a great report card. And I was so excited, I ran home to show my grandparents. My grandmother took one look at my report card, threw it at the table, she said, "Go get me some cigarettes." She could care less whether I had an education or not. All they wanted me for is the fields. But I knew my teachers cared. So I made an effort to be the best student that I could at Goshen Elementary School, right down Highway 99 here. Yeah. And I did it because there were only 25 of us. But then when it came time to do the speech for the valedictorian speech, the principal called me to the office and he said, well, because of your stutter and your stammer, we're not gonna let you do it. And I thought, great, because I don't want to get in front of all those people anyway. But then when the high school counselor came in to advise us on courses, and here I was a top student. He took one look at me and says, I'm putting you in woodshop where you belong, where your people belong. I said, I want to go to college. He said, no, you people don't go to college. You work in the factories, you work in the fields. This man was 6'5", 250 pounds. I stood up to him and said, I really want to go to college. And my grandfather had said, you never talk back to a white man. He controls our lives, he controls our destinies. But I stood up and I demanded my rights. He said, fine, I will put you in college prep courses, but I can guarantee you're gonna fail. So my first day at Redwood High School in Visalia, I went into my class and I looked around and I realized he was right. I was going to fail. I didn't belong there. All those kids looked so different from me. And they had something that I didn't have. They had family. They had people, they had support. You know, here I have tons of brothers and sisters and cousins that were going to the same school that I was, but I didn't know them. I didn't see them. Because of what was going on at home, there was a lot of molestation, a lot of abuse, a lot of alcoholism, a lot of drug use, that it was a life that I couldn't understand or see the reason. So here I was in high school, and I wanted to go to college, but I knew I was never going to make it, because I planned on killing myself before I turned 18, and it was just a matter of how and when. But I was lucky. I had 3 high school friends who stood by me. And anytime I went off for weeks at a time without speaking to anybody or interacting with anybody, I would come back and they would accept me. And I still have those 3 high school friends. So when I look around, your high school friends have the world to you. And then another thing happened. This young man, he showed up one day to our high school from UC Santa Cruz. And he took us into the library and he said, I can show you how you can go to college. I thought, wow. I knew I wanted to go to college, but I had absolutely no idea. So one weekend when I wasn't working in the fields, he took us to UC Santa Cruz. And for the first time in my life, I saw the ocean, I saw the beach, I saw hope. Now, what do I have to do to go in here? To get in here, he says, well, you have to fill an application, and you have to have financial records from your parents. So I went home and I showed my grandparents and I said, I want to go to college and I can go here. My grandmother took one look at me and said, you bastard, you're not going anywhere. We took you in when nobody else wanted you and we supported you all these years. Now you owe us. You're going to stay here and get a job in a factory and pay us back. So my senior year of high school, I moved out of my home. I'm not sure what would have happened to me, but I was lucky. Again, my biology teacher found out my situation. And he found me in an apartment near the Redwood campus. And he also did something else for me. I keep telling people, I've had 2 jobs in my life. I was a farm worker and a doctor. But my senior year of high school, I was a janitor. I cleaned the gymnasiums, I cleaned the classrooms while the other kids were doing all these things and going to the proms and going to the Disneyland trips. I stood and I cleaned the classrooms. And I waited. I went to hear to see if I would hear from UC Santa Cruz. And one day in the spring, my brother Domingo brought a letter to me. I opened it up. I had been accepted. I was the first person in my history ever to be accepted to college. But I still thought it was a pipe dream. I thought there's no way this is going to happen to me. But one day when I showed up in the fall of that year to UC Santa Cruz, there's just a young Anglo man behind the table. He asked for my name. I said, I'm on Resa. He said, here you are, 203 Galileo. I knew I had made it. I had reached my dream. I was a college student. Yeah. But, you know, and during high school, because of the abuse and the shame that I felt for what was going on in my home, I never talked to girls. And wouldn't you know it, my first college class, anthropology, I looked behind me and I see this gorgeous girl. I thought, wow. A couple of days later, I happened to see her out in the courtyard. And I had the courage to go up to her and I said, "Are you Mexican?" And she said, "No." I said, "That's okay." But I knew I was going to marry her. One problem. She had a boyfriend. 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. His dad was a doctor, his mom was a doctor. He lived in Marin County, the richest county in the world. And here I am from Goshen, California. And here I am with a long hair and a bandana, and I'm scrawny Mexican boy. And by this time, we're marching with Sister Chavez, and we're taking over the chancellor's office, and we're very militant. What hope do I have? About 3 months after I met her, she came to my dorm. She knocked on the door. I said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "I want to tell you something." I said, "What?" "I want to tell you I broke up with Kirk." I said, "Why did you do that?" Because I realized I'm in love with you. And that's the first time in my life I had ever heard those words. And we've been married for 41 years now. I took her home to meet my family. I forgot to mention that after my mother had 5 kids, she got married and had 7 more. Actually, I just found out recently she didn't get married. She just had 7 more. But I was going to take her home to meet my brothers and sisters. And but on Christmas Eve, my half-brother's and sister's father had an accident in the farm. He went to the emergency room. They told him there's nothing wrong with him. Go back to work. He went back to work. He died of a brain hemorrhage on Christmas Eve. My Aunt Helen had breast cancer. She went to her doctor. She came back, she said, "Because I was Mexican, they treated me like dirt. I'd rather die." So she died of breast cancer. So here I am in college. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I thought, maybe I should go to medical school. And during high school, I didn't take any of the prerequisites for medical school. I didn't take physics, I didn't take calculus, I didn't take chemistry. I just took what I needed to get into college. So I thought, I'm going to go tell my advisor that I want to go to medical school. So I went up to my advisor. I said, "I decided I want to go to pre-med." He said, "You're not smart enough." So I dropped him as my advisor. I asked some people who I knew were taking pre-med courses, what classes I had to take. They told me, "Well, you have to take chemistry and calculus and physics and all this stuff." So I said, "Okay." So I signed up to take chemistry. And the first thing I did is I failed it. I thought, wow, there goes that dream. But I realized I really wanted to do this. So during summer session, I went back and I took chemistry again. And with the help of tutors, I was able to pass my courses. And I found out just recently, my son, when he was in college, he tutors kids in the classes that I needed to pass. So he figured that. He never told me any of that stuff. I found it in a website at his college. But I applied to medical school, and this is during the time of affirmative action when only 1% of medical students were made up of minorities. So they opened a window for us. So I didn't have the best MCAT scores, I didn't have the best grades, but I had the opportunity. So I was given an interview. So I went to UC Irvine. And they asked me one simple question: "Why do you want to be a doctor?" I said, "I want to be a doctor so I can be a role model for the kids that remind me of the kid I used to be." And I think that was the answer that got me into medical school. Yeah. So I ended up getting accepted to UC Irvine Medical School. I went over there, and the first days that we were there, one of the English students came to us and she said, "We overheard the professors talking, and they said, 'You people don't belong here. And they gotta make sure that you guys quit or fail.'" And believe me, every single day I wanted to quit because I felt like a failure. But one day I received a letter from an aunt of mine, Lucinda, and she wrote, she said, "Ramon, we knew you were smart, and we knew you were amount to something. maybe wear a suit and tie and work an indoor job, like a J.C. Penney's or something, but for you to be a doctor, that's impossible. So I knew I could not fail. So again, with the help of tutors, I was able to pass and graduate from UC Irvine Medical School. I was to start my practice at UC San Francisco, my residency program at UC San Francisco Fresno, and on the way there, I stopped at home because they were having a party in Goshen. But the party wasn't for me, but my party was for my sisters and my aunts. Every single woman in my family had a baby before she was married or when she was a teenager. So there were 3 new babies at home. So I went home to see the babies in the party. And so while I was there, I heard my grandmother and my mother in the back argue. My son, the doctor said, no, he's my son. I was so angry, I went up to both of us, and neither one of you is my mother. And I left to start my practice, my residency program at UC San Francisco Fresno. And if I thought medical school was hard, the first patients we encountered, kid died, 2-year-old, drowned in a foot of water. We couldn't revive him. 7-month-old baby, we had to stick an IV in him. We couldn't get it started because of dehydration. He died. 1.5-pound baby, we could not bring him around. So all these kids were coming and dying on us, and I was getting really severe headaches. And about a month after I started my residency, I get a call from home. My sister Annette was married to an abusive alcoholic man, just like every single woman in my family. She decided she had enough. She decided to leave him, so she took off to my brother Danny's house. He followed her there. Danny tried to stop him at the door. He pulled out a gun, shot Danny in the head, and killed him in front of his 2 kids. He tracked Annette down in the bedroom and shot her and killed her in front of her 2 kids, and took off to Mexico, never to be seen again. I was given 2 days leave from my residency to go to the funerals. And when I was there, I realized something. In my selfishness to make something of myself, I had abandoned my own family. I wasn't there for them. So I went back to my residency program, and I quit. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't handle it. About a month later, my daughter Marina was born. So when I held her in my arms, and she looked up at me, I realized this is no longer about me, it's about her. So I went back and I begged for my job back, and they gave it back to me. And anytime I wanted to quit or I wanted to fail, I just had to hold my little daughter in my arms. And I was able to finish my residency program and start a practice in Porterville, where I have been for 30 years now. Ended up going to UC Santa Cruz also. She is an actress. If you Google her, you'll see her in several films that she made. She also is a therapist. She has her master's. My son Joshua, he graduated top of his class in junior high, and he was allowed to give the valedictorian speech. He graduated top of his class at Porterville High School. He was accepted to Harvard, Stanford, MIT. He ended up going to Stanford. He said he was never going to go to medical school. At the 3rd year, we asked him, what are you going to do, Josh? He wouldn't tell us. Finally, he says, I'm applying to medical school. Are you satisfied? He ended up getting accepted to UC San Francisco Medical School, which is only accepts 2% of the applicants. When he was there, he said he was not going to be a pediatrician. So after the 1st year, we asked him, what are you going to do, Josh? I don't know. After the 2nd year, he said, Josh, what are you going to do? I don't know. After the third year, I said, Josh, I know you have to apply for residency. What are you going to do? I'm going into pediatrics. Are you So this past June, he became a full-fledged pediatrician from Brown University. People ask me, why did I do what I did? Because I wanted to build a foundation for my kids so that they could succeed, that they could have a life that I did not have, and not have the struggles that I had. And when I look around and I see these bright young people in front of me, you have such a bright future from you. You have so much more going for you. And when I look at the parents in this room, remember, to this day, I do not know who my father is. I did not have parents who cared. And I wonder what it would have been like if I had had a mom or a dad who sat in a room like this because they cared so much for their kids that they would give up their Saturday. And when I see that, I know your kids are going to succeed because you care. And also, somebody mentioned expectations. You have to have expectations of your kids. If you don't, who will? Same thing with you, kids. If you don't have those expectations, who will? And if you listen to my story, I could have given up so many times. So in this life, the key is to believe in yourself and never give up and never let anybody tell you you can't do it. Si se puede. Thank you very much.